how do we find out the value of a polynomial at a particular value of the variable? So let's write a simple polynomial. Say we have a linear polynomial px equals, let's say 2x plus 3. Now we know that a polynomial, the value of the polynomial depends on the value of the variable. So somehow conceptually, as we change and put different values for the variable, our polynomial should change, right? So the question is, how do we really find out the value of a polynomial at any given value of the variable? So here, let's say we want to find out what is the polynomial, how does the polynomial look like when x is equal to 0, for example. So the way we find this is that we take the value of the variable, in this case 0, and then we look at our polynomial. So we have our polynomial px. Now, wherever we have x, we replace the variable with the value. So we have, for example, 2 times x. So instead of x, we will put 0, because we are trying to find out the value of the polynomial at x equals 0. So wherever we have x, we will replace that x with 0. So here 2x plus 3. So instead of x, we will put 0, and then we have 3. After we do that, we will just simplify or calculate. So now if we were to do that, we will have 2 times 0 is 0 plus 3. 0 plus 3 is just 3. So what we say is, we say that the value of polynomial px at x equals 0 is 3 in our example. So we say the value of the polynomial px at x equals 0 is 3. Or in other words, instead of writing it as px, we write it as p. Instead of x, we write 0. So we say p0 is equal to 3. So let's take a look at some more examples which will help us clarify. But before that, let's try to define this. So value of a polynomial is, to find out the value of a polynomial, we simply take the value of the variable and replace the variable with the value everywhere in the polynomial and compute or calculate. So let's take some examples. So say we have, let's take some linear polynomials, some quadratic polynomials, and some cubic polynomials. So let's say we have px equals simply 3x, right? So at x equals 0, for example, what will be the value of this polynomial? Well, at x equals 0, the value will be p0, and wherever we have x, we will replace that with 0. So here we will have 3 times 0 or 0. So we say p0 equals 0. What about, we want to find out the value of this polynomial at x equals 1. So we will replace x with 1, and so we have 3 times x. Instead of x, we'll put 1. 3 ones are 3. So we say p of 1 is 3. What about, let's take one more, x equals minus 2. What is the value of the polynomial at x equals minus 2? So here we will have p of minus 2, right? So wherever we have x, we will have to put minus 2. So 3x, and instead of x, we will put minus 2. So this is 3 times minus 2, which will be minus 6. So this is how we find out the value of a polynomial at a certain value of the variable. Now let's take a look at some quadratic polynomials. Say we have, let's take this time a polynomial in variable y. Let's say we have 2y squared minus 3y plus 5. If this is our polynomial, and now let's say we want to find out the value of this polynomial at y equals 0. So what will this be? So we will say q of 0, right? Polynomial is represented by q of y. So is a q0 will be 2 times, wherever we have y, we will put 0. So 0 squared minus 3 times 0 plus 5, right? Or simply this will be 0 squared is 0 times 0, which is 0, and 2 zeros is 0, minus 3 zeros is 0, and we have 5. So quite simply, this will be simply 5. Now let's say we want to find out at y equals minus 1. And I'm randomly, arbitrarily taking these values of the variable, right? So if you want to find out the value of this polynomial at y equals minus 1, so we will write this as, wherever we have y, we will replace that with minus 1. So we have 2 minus 1 square minus 3 times minus 1 plus 5, right? Or this will be minus 1 times minus 1 is 1 and 2 ones are 2. Now minus 1 and times minus 3 will be plus 3. Plus 3 and then we have plus 5 here. Or this will be 5 plus 5, 10. So we will say that q of minus 1 equals 10. That is the value of this polynomial at y equals minus 1 is 10. Let's take a look at one final type of example where we want to take a cubic polynomial. So let's say we have r and our polynomial is basically variable in variable s. So let's say our polynomial looks like 5s cubed plus maybe just 2s plus 1. So this is a cubic polynomial, and let's say we want to find out the value at s equals 0. So how do we find this out? Again, the exact same way. So we will say r of 0. So wherever we have s, we will replace that with 0. So we will get 5 times, here we have 0 cube plus 2 times 0 plus 1. Or this will be 0 cube is 0, 5 zeros is 0, plus 2 zeros is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 or simply 1. So we say r of 0, meaning the value of the polynomial at 0 is equal to 1. How about we want to find out the value of the polynomial at s equals minus 2. So again, what we will do is we will put r of minus 2 now, right? So we have 5, and then instead of s, we will put minus 2 cube plus 2 times minus 2 plus 1. And we will simply compute this. So minus 2 times minus 2 is plus 4 times minus 2 is minus 8. So what we have is 5 times minus 8. And then 2 times minus 2 is minus 4. And we have plus 1. So this will be minus 40 minus 4 plus 1, or minus 44 plus 1, or simply minus 43. So we say that r of minus 2, which is the value of the polynomial r at s equals minus 2, is minus 43. So this is how we find out the value of a polynomial at a particular value of the variable.